Hi, you're watching Agenda Awani live from where else but Bukit Kewangan Financial Hill, where we are. Astro Awani is now, going to talk about something very relevant to us all, because if you remember, for a few weeks, Agenda Awani have always been talking about what happened in New York. We had the UNGA General Assembly, but we also had GSIAC coverage, and all of them, from sustainable development right up until the Global Science International Advisory Council, they all talk about technology. And for us to create more wealth, for us to address the issue of inequality of wealth distribution, all technology is key. And with that, I'm very, very proud for tonight. I have a very important guest to speak about one particular institution that is very crucial to us all. That is the Malaysian Technology Development Corporation, or better known as MTDC for us all. The complete equation is what I want to talk about with Datuk Nur Halim Yunus, the CEO or Chief Executive Officer of MTDC. Thank you so much, Datuk, for making time. From the very high discussions in wherever it is in the world, New York or otherwise, right down to the street level, technology bridges. And MTDC look at, one, the technology we already have, or secondly, technology that we need that we don't have, and how to bring it inside. But we can't just bring technology as it is. We need to nurture the system where it can grow as a business and create wealth and value. But at the same time, do we just give it to a company or hope for a company to give? MTDC also look at nurturing startups and stuff like that, for example. So there's a lot to look at, but I guess if I can ask you to be a bit sentimental, look back in history, MTDC started all the way back in 1992 when the dot-com bubble was not even talked about. So how do you see MTDC from where it started and where it is now? Because what is in our MK11 and everything else is there, but the role that now maybe MTDC want to evolve into.
Right. Well, thank you. Now, in 1992, when we started MTDC, we were formed as a venture capital company, a conventional venture capital company, because that was the outcome of the study that was made at that point in time. And we look at the Korean model, and the Korean has, at that point in time, the Korean Technology Development Corporation.
Yes.
So the founders felt that we need an organization to be an interfacing organization between the universities and the research institutes and the industry. And we felt that it should be in the form of venture capital rather than any other form of organization. So it was formed as a venture capital company, and it was seeded by about 15 government agencies and the private sector. So that was part of the smart partnership that was being pushed at that point in time. Now, but we learned very, very quickly that venture capital does not exist in a vacuum. Okay, a lot of developing countries, they look at the Silicon Valley and they say, look, venture capital is key, and let's have one. But for venture capital to exist successfully, to grow, to contribute, you need other prerequisites. For example, that for venture capital to fund companies, entrepreneurs, you need deal flows, and you need sufficient number of deal flows. That means you have to have a critical mass of companies being created all the time. And secondly, you need companies that are operating in a high growth market. And thirdly, you need to have an exit, meaning that it has to be either a boss or M&A.
You can be there forever. Right?
So in 1992, when we were formed as a VC to invest in technology companies, we were a VC, but where are the other things? So we learned quite quickly that it would not be feasible in the short term to be a pure VC. Because as a VC, normally what you need to do is you invest very early. At least that's the conventional definition of a VC. Nowadays, we have VCs that invest in the later stages. So we have evolved from a very conventional VC in 1992, investing in mainly electronics. And in fact, I still sit on the first investment that we made on the board of the first company that we made, which is Globetronics. And Globetronics itself has evolved from a mere assembler of semiconductor components to now actually being quite a major player in the IoT business, in fact. So by 1997, we then actually introduced a new scheme for commercialization and technology activities. The government introduced in the mid-7 plan, a grant scheme for commercialization of research. And then in the 9th plan, we look at the funding ecosystem, and we felt that there must be a variety of funding, available to the market. For example, even now today, if we talk to some SMEs, they are very wary of equity instrument.
Yes.
Say, why should I share with you? I just want loans.
Because this is mine.
Yes, but if they want loan, then you have to have collateral. But I don't have a collateral, so we thought that okay, we have venture capital, we have fund, we have grant. Let's have a kind of a quasi hybrid instrument. So we introduced the promissory note, which is basically an instrument used in venture capital in the early stage before it is converted into preferred shares. And in the 10th plan, we also wanted to bridge the gap because a lot of, if I can say that, a lot of private VCs in Malaysia, they invest rather late. So sometime after the startup stage, you still need to see, you have a gap in funding. So we then introduced a hybrid fund where it is sort of a slot in between the early stage and the stage where you're going to get commercial funding. So we ourselves has evolved, and the ecosystem has evolved too. In 1992, mainly if you want to talk about tech companies, it's all semiconductor companies. Now you will have to, you can see a lot of other companies besides electronics. You have now, for example, biotech companies, nanotech companies, and other specialty industries, which are already coming into play. And people are more aware of the needs of the ecosystem. So if you were to ask me what has happened in the last 20 years, so we have actually evolved with the environment that we are operating in, and we have actually developed instruments to fit, or rather to support the companies within our ecosystem.
Okay, great, Dato'. You just completed the time for the first break, but once we are back, I want to lay down also, if I come at it from the layman's perspective, what about the outcome for me? I need to be inspired. It's a no-brainer about Silicon Valley. Nobody would argue whether Stanford earlier had put in money or not. But how would that be out there for the layman to be inspired to get? Because that's a cascading impact. Because if we inspire the masses out there, they will come back into the system, pitch to you for great projects, great ideas, great innovation, stuff like that. Let's discuss that after the short break.